Beam City Sports, back at you again here in Sacramento, California. Tyler Texeira and Luke Mitchell on 96.5 FM. Today we are joined by a very special guest, one of my lifelong friends. Played basketball with him since I was very young. Alec Dennett. How you doing, Alec?
I'm good. I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, good to have you, man. How you doing, Luke?
I'm doing good. How we doing, Sacramento? Good to be back in the studio. It's cooling off here in Sacramento, but we're always heating up here.
Yes, sir. We have a lot to get into today. We have some NBA news going around the league. We have some Sacramento Kings stuff to talk about. The Kings are 4-3 right now after 7 games. So some good stuff, some bad stuff, on both sides of the ball for them, offense and defense looking good. We've got some new segments introducing today, and then we're going to go over some other hot games in the NBA, close out with some Dodgers World Series talk. But let's jump into it. Mitchell's Man of the Week. We're back for the second week of this segment. Curious to see who you're going to go with this week.
I think you guys are going to like this one. Well, I mean, on a team that's doing really good, probably the best in the league right now, but not the number one player on the team. But I got Darius Garland for my man of the week.
Love it. Love it.
Him doing what he's doing right behind Donovan Mitchell, they would not be 8-0 without him. And then he also just dropped, I think it was 37 points,
Like
I think.
34,
Yeah. That, and then if they didn't have that, they would have lost that game immediately. He's averaging 20 points per game, 2 rebounds, 6.5 assists on 52% shooting. And then, I mean, that's right behind Donovan, who's averaging 25 points a game, and who's averaging the same stats after that. And then what was kind of competing with me was James Harden. James Harden's going off with the Clippers.
Yeah. Still
hitting his classic step back. And then, I mean, they're just not doing as hot as the Cavaliers are, especially in a conference with the Celtics and everybody.
Yeah, I love that pick with Darius Garland, man. He's really impressed me this year. After a weird couple years last year, he was an all-star about 2 years ago, one of the best young guards in the league, and then he struggled playing behind Donovan Mitchell. It was hard for them to find their rhythm together. This year, it's really clicking. It's really clicking for them. Darius Garland, he's looked quicker than ever.
Yep.
He's being very aggressive. He's not looking to be so passive to Donovan Mitchell. He's looking to look for his shot, and it's been impressive.
I'm going to say it. That's the best backcourt in the league right now.
Ooh.
Best backcourt in the league.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right now.
I mean, what I like about Darius, obviously in the Orlando series in the playoffs, that's where we really saw him struggle.
Yeah.
So, for him to kind of have a really hot start for the season just kind of proves that, it was really a fluke, that series. But, yeah, that's a great pick. I do love DG. He's a very solid point guard.
Yeah, the Cavs, it was some talks about if they're going to trade Darius Garland. It was rumored for him to go to the San Antonio Spurs, play with Wemby over there. The Cavs really stuck with their core, though. Their core 4, the 2 guards, the 2 bigs. And a lot of people had question marks before this year. But right now they look like the best team in the East, even better than the Boston Celtics. They're the only undefeated team out there in the East. So excited to see them play some good teams coming up on the schedule.
Definitely.
So we'll jump into the second segment. It is
Ty's Take of the Week.
Ty's Take of the Week. And my take this week is a hot one. I'm going to go with the struggling Milwaukee Bucks. I'm going to say Giannis Antetokounmpo will not be a Milwaukee Buck in the next 2 years. I think he is going to request a trade.
Whoa.
And I think they are going to have to get rid of him, even though, Milwaukee's definitely not going to want to get rid of Giannis. I think they're going to have to. And that means Dame is going to be gone as well. The Bucks are 1-6 to start the year. No one expected them to be this slow of a start. So I wouldn't be surprised.
You think they're going to go full rebuild mode?
I think they're going to have to. I don't think Giannis is going to give him a choice. Even before the year started, he said that if they don't win a championship this year, he could get traded. Okay. And he went out and said that on media day this year. So in the Bucks 1-6, it doesn't look like they have any room for error. And Giannis is sitting out games. So
I want to ask this. I'm not arguing with your take. I like the take.
Yeah.
Are we going to blame Giannis and Dame, or are we going to blame Doc Rivers and Darvin Ham coaching?
Yeah, I think it's more on the coaching. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about this a little before the show, but I mean, I just don't like getting rid of coaches too early. Like they got rid of Mike Budenholzer way too early.
That's true. That's true.
And that's a kind of a theme in the NBA. But I mean, I like Doc Rivers. It's just recently he hasn't proven himself to be what he was as a coach. And then you pair him up with Darvin Ham, and so obviously, two kind of mediocre coaches right now. And like Tyler's saying, Giannis wants a ring. Like we all know, Giannis is kind of
It's another one right
Exactly.
there. Yeah.
And so for him, I honestly don't doubt it. It's just kind of, if they do that bad, where's the best spot for him to go for his career?
Warriors. I think he's going to the Warriors.
The Warriors?
I think the Warriors are going to, you mentioned it on before the show that the Thunder have all the pieces to go get a guy like Giannis, and that's
true.
Very scary to think about. They're undefeated right now. They look like they have no weakness in their team. They're so young, and they have so many upcoming draft picks. They have all the pieces to go get a guy like Giannis.
Oh, yeah, they could trade all their picks.
I hope OKC doesn't do that, though, because, their chemistry, you mentioned this earlier, their chemistry and, their young core, they're all pretty much close to the same age,
That's
so
true.
it works out very well for them. But a team like the Warriors, aging Steph, they got some young guys that, have some value on the market, like Kuminga, who is up for an extension. They have some draft picks in the next couple years. I think the Warriors are going to go out and try and make a move if Giannis does request a trade.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hate it. Not gonna lie.
It would be a good move for the Warriors for sure, but yeah, I don't want to see that either.
I don't want to see that down the road from Sacramento. That would not be a pretty sight to see.
Yeah, I mean the Bucks this year, they're the slowest team in the league.
Yeah.
And they don't have a lot of shooting besides Dame. Brook Lopez has looked worse than ever. He's almost 40 years old, so it's going to happen eventually. Middleton's still hurt.
He's still hurt.
Middleton's still hurt. Dame and Giannis are dropping 30 points a game every time they play, and they're 1-6. So I don't see an alleyway for them to get better with Giannis on this team. I don't see anyone, signing to Milwaukee in free agency. So I think they're going to have to be pressured into make a move, and I think it's going to have to get rid of Giannis.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Ty's hot take of the week.
Yeah.
The Bucks are donezo in 2 years.
Bucks are done. Okay, well, let's jump into our beloved Sacramento Kings. We are 4-3 after the last. So we played 7 games so far this year. 4-3 record. 1 game above 500. How we feeling?
We should be 6-1.
Yeah.
We should be 6-1. There's 2 games in there that we should have won easily, and I mean, not the Raptors game. There's other games that we should have won.
The Lakers and the Timberwolves.
Lakers and Timberwolves.
Yeah.
We should have had those easily.
Yeah, those would have been big wins.
Yeah.
I think for the Kings, it's they shipped HB, but they didn't really get anyone, in my opinion, to really kind of bring them to the next step. I mean, the way that I see it is, I just think their bench is kind of lackluster. Other than Malik Monk, for real. I mean, they just need to find that extra person, maybe on the roster, but Malik and Keon, obviously they're the good bench guys, but
I think we need the extra defensive player. That's what we're looking for, I think. When we shipped off HB and we got Demar, we got another 25-point scorer, but he has been great on defense. He's averaging almost 2 steals a game right now, I'm pretty sure. I think the whole defensive thing on the bench, we got Keon, who Mike Brown isn't really using as much as we want, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly.
He did not play against the Lakers, where we could have used his defense in that 21-0 run.
Yeah.
I feel like Keon could have stopped LeBron when he went off right there.
More than we were.
Yeah,
I mean, at least, try something. But, we did see Keon start at the 2 last night, or 2 nights ago, actually, against Miami.
I was
start there.
so happy.
Yeah.
I saw him out. Oh,
he only had 7 points, but, he's playing good defense. He's hustling out there. That's what he's out there to do.
Score.
Yeah.
We're asking him to play defense.
And, DeMar, got to mention him. He's been great all year. He's leading the team in scoring. Last game, he had 26 and hit some huge shots down the stretch. DeMar he's been so clutch all year, and he doesn't shy away from the moment in those shots. He wants the ball, and he's going to hit you with that pump fake. Like I said last week, he's going to hit you with that pump fake 5 times in a row.
Yep.
And if you don't jump, he's going to go up and rise over you, and he's the best mid-range shooter in the whole league. Before the year, it was known as that, but watching him so closely this year, it's like no one can stop him when he gets to that mid-range.
Nah, and you get the pump fake, and then they go up, and he's just like, "Oh, your hand's right there. Let me get the and one real quick," because any mid-range goes down.
He's great at drawing fouls too, and you love to see that. You get to the line, get 2 free points almost all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, last year the Kings were 30th in free throw percentage. That was worse in the league. This year, where do you think they rank?
3rd.
1.
What?
They are ranked number 1 as the best free throw percentage in the league. It's only 7 games in, it's short sample size, but that's a huge jump from last year. And DeMar, he's an 85% free throw shooter for his career. He gets to the line almost as much as anyone in the league.
Domas has been there and hitting his shots at the line too.
Yeah, Domas' jumpers look very good to start the year as well.
But I mean, the free throws are great. Our 3-point shooting is not doing good at all.
Yeah, and our three-point
defense is atrocious. It's atrocious.
But Fox, he stepped up after that 0 for 11 game against Toronto. He had 28 against Miami, hit some big shots down the stretch as well. Everyone really stepped up in this Miami game. Domas had 16, 16, and 7, also tipped in the game winner, which was huge. Demar hit that 4-point play to, make this a game. The Kings looked out of it with a minute to go. Demar rises up, gets fouled on the 3, makes it, hits the free throw. We're right back in the game. So that's what DeMar brings to the table. But Jimmy Butler had 17 in the fourth quarter in this one. He had 27 overall. And also, my guy Tyler Hero was absolutely killing us.
4 threes in the first quarter, right?
4 for 4 to start from 3. He finished with 27.
He had some far ones, too.
Yeah.
There were some deep threes.
I love Tyler Hero's game. What did you see from Tyler Hero out there?
I'll back you on that. I love the way that Tyler Hero plays, honestly, because he's not too selfish. He's gonna try and get his shots, and that's his role.
Yeah.
But he also makes plays for other guys. But he's kind of known as a shooter, and obviously that's kind of what he displayed out there.
Yeah, he's always running around. He's always
he's like Steph Curry, kind of. He's never just gonna be stationary. He's always gonna be moving around.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's taken a big jump this year as well, and just both sides of the ball. I think he's been known as a below average defender, and I think he's getting up there, maybe hitting the average level as on the defensive level. Tyler Hero, he's active with his hands. He's going to play his heart out. He's not going to stop anyone one-on-one like a De'Aaron or anything like that, but he's going to try and hold his own, which I'm very impressed with this year.
Definitely.
But
bringing up defense, I got to say Kevin Huerter has taken a big jump.
He really has.
Especially on the perimeter. He's one of the players that I could actually watch. He's closing out with his hands outside, trying to stop a pass.
He's getting a ton of deflections.
Exactly.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Herder's been great on the defensive end, and we were very surprised to see him in that starting lineup to start the year. But I'm very happy with his production, and he was sick last game. He didn't play, and 2 games actually he's been sick. McDermott started the game before, and then they started Keon the next night.
I was going to jump back to that.
Yeah.
Why are we starting McDermott? Dude,
to fill that Kevin Huerter role, just spot up, hit some shots.
Yeah, but our 3-point shooting has already been so bad. Why not just Keon, Mike? I hope you're listening right now, Mike Brown. But we need to start Keon, I think, all the time instead of Kevin or Doug.
Oh, so you're saying put Kevin on the bench?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's honestly not a bad idea, just in terms of, like I mentioned earlier, I think the scoring on the bench is you're kind of just relying heavily on Malik.
Mm-hmm.
But, in terms of defense, too, you get a guy like Keon out there who's, he's going to work his butt off on the defensive end and a lot of hustle plays, so... Yeah. And I think that just gets the team going as well. So.
Definitely. He can guard bigger guys, too. He can guard the small forward position. And he's not a super tall guy, but...
He's got a long wingspan, and he's also very quick with his feet.
Exactly.
So that helps him out a lot.
He's in the face all the time. He doesn't give a lot of space at all.
Yeah. So let's go over the end of this Miami game. Terry Rozier hit a 3 for them to be up 5 with 1:14 left to go.
Scary Terry.
That's when we saw DeMar DeRozan hit that and 1 3 that made it a 1-point game. Then we see De'Aaron Fox on the defensive end get a great stop. De'Aaron, when he wants to play defense, he's one of the best guard defenders in the league, one of the best two-way players in the league. But he doesn't get the credit for it like he should because he takes possessions off, I have to say. Yeah. He doesn't want to guard the best guy every time. But I have to, before we go to that game, the Atlanta game, De'Aaron really showed me a lot on the defensive end. And, him and Trae Young, he wanted that matchup from the start. He didn't want Keegan on him. He wanted to guard Trae. So
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Trae Young only had 2 points in the first half.
Yeah, and then
then he had 23 in the second half.
He heated up. He did. He did. But I like Fox taking that matchup. They played AAU together, De'Aaron and Trae Young, super long ago. So De'Aaron, it looked like he really wanted to, stop Trae Young, and in the first half, he really did at that game. But back to the Miami game. So De'Aaron gets that stop on the defensive end. Then DeRozan, like you said, he's been active with his hands. He gets a strip on Tyler Hero, but he gets stripped and then he fouls him. So it was a 3-point game with 37 seconds left. And then Malik Monk, that dunk with 30 seconds left, it was the Heat were trying to not foul. They were giving up the 2, which is kind of what you're supposed to do in that situation. Yeah. But he put some emphasis on that dunk.
Sent the whole their momentum is we gotta come up big here. And Malik always puts an emphasis on every game.
I wish De'Aaron did that more because there's a lot of times where De'Aaron will get a great pass from Malik or Sabonis and he'll be wide open and he'll just do like a soft layup and put it in. Like Malik is trying to punch that thing every time and it really like sparks some energy under this team.
I will say right now Malik is playing, or not Malik, De'Aaron's playing with a fractured finger.
That is true.
So, I mean.
He's going to have to play like that all year.
He's got, exactly. So he's got to play a little bit softer. You can't injure his finger again just by dunking.
I guess that's a good point. I didn't think about that on the dunking end. But I feel like he's been like that for the last couple years. Like he doesn't like dunking the ball as much as he did in his rookie year.
Maybe he's hurt his hand one time when he was dunking.
I guess so, yeah.
Because, I mean, Russell said that. Anthony Edwards said that. Like every time they go up for a dunk, they're like, I hate dunking. It hurts.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Got to put on a show for the fans.
Yeah. I was saying, like, De'Aaron's playing a little weird. Like, he's not playing, like, as hard as he does, like, when he goes up. But then when he said he fractured his finger in training camp, I believe, I was just like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
It does make sense. Yeah. And every time he makes a three, he does a celebration now where he looks at his fingers. He holds his three up and then looks at his fingers and they're all taped up. So it looks like he's finding his shot though.
He is
with the taped finger. So that's
he
big.
Is adjusting.
Yeah. So, but the end of this game, of the Miami game, De'Aaron missed a turnaround mid-range shot. You know, we want the ball in De'Aaron or DeRozan's hands. I'm not mad at the shot. He got a good look. He missed it, but our guy Domas Sabonis on the O glass.
Fighting the board.
He got that and put it up right away. It was a weird shot. It was like a little floater. He barely got it over Bam's fingertips, like just a centimeter over his fingertips, and it fell in. And then they get the stop. Terry Rozier missed a three at the buzzer. So a great win, light the beam for that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, not a tough road trip, but they had the back-to-back. Like they had game in Atlanta, and had to travel up to Toronto. In that Toronto game, like they did look tired. They looked slow on like just getting back to D.
Yeah.
And I think Toronto they knew that we were coming in like on a big travel day.
Also, it was Vince Carter's jersey retirement night.
They had the momentum going in.
We had Demar returning to Toronto. We played
exactly.
9 seasons in Toronto. One of the best. He's ranked number one in pretty much every Raptors stat category: points, minutes, shots taken, like all these different stats. DeMar's number one
and then
for Toronto.
That guy, what's his name?
Drizzy Drake.
That guy, yeah, whatever his name is.
Aubrey.
Try to talk smack on DeMar, like
that was pretty funny.
No, it wasn't funny.
I don't think the Kings are going to be playing any Drake songs in the warm-ups anymore. I'll say that.
Drizzy the dude. What?
But Drake, he was eyeing DeRozan, and on the DeRozan.
What is Drake gonna do?
Yeah.
What is Drake gonna do?
Yeah, it was funny, and then DeRozan actually, because Drake made a comment on the broadcast.
Yeah.
He said, if they ever put a DeRozan banner up here in Toronto, I'm going to climb up there and take it down myself. Which is kind of crazy. And
then DeMar came back and said, you're going to have to climb a long way up.
Is that because he was in the Not Like Us video? Is that really why?
Honestly, it could be.
Yeah.
I think there's some beef between that.
Because I know they used to be close. Yeah. When he played in Toronto, they were cool. So
I don't know. I mean, silly comment by Drake, honestly, because I mean, he loves the Raptors. So obviously, you got to show love to a guy that really put on for the city and the team.
Yeah. And then, I mean, Lou Will just came out with something. He said, like, he was just like, that's childish by Drake. Like, is it like, are you trying to make yourself part of basketball because
Thank you,
like
Lou Will.
you aren't
Thank
like
you.
You're
that
not
shows
part
a
of
lot.
basketball.
That shows a lot because Drake made a whole song based off Lou Will. He made a whole song that went like probably close to number one just based off Lou Will when he was in Toronto. So, yeah.
So,
but DeRozan, very mature response. I think they asked him about it in the post game. Of course, he probably wasn't too happy about that after a tough loss. And overtime, they're asking him about what Drake said on the broadcast.
One of his old friends too. So it's like,
but then DeMar said he's going to have a long way to climb if he wants to get that down because they're definitely going to put a banner up for DeMar.
Oh, for sure.
And DeMar also was killing in this Toronto game. He finished with 33, the most points he's had in the Sacramento Kings uniform. Yep. So very fun game, but the defensive side is where we lost this game. Chris Boucher, who was not on my scouting report before this game started.
His name wasn't even in my mind before I watched this game.
Absolutely killing us. He had 24 points off the bench. Ochai Agbaji also killing. He finished with 22. And he posted De'Aaron. I didn't want to mention it, but I had to. Ochai Agbaji it was a pretty nasty dunk on De'Aaron.
It was a little lob.
Yeah.
I don't think De'Aaron really saw it coming up.
He was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
I don't think De'Aaron would have went up there.
Yeah.
I think he thought it was a layup. And then dude came up and...
Hey, you know what's good? The Kings can get their get back tonight.
Yeah.
Toronto is in Sacramento tonight, so we'll see. This injured Raptors team, they don't have Scotty Barnes. They don't have Emmanuel Quickley, who was one of your favorite guys coming into the year,
Yep.
one of your picks for most improved. And I think the Raptors coach, Darko Royakovich, is one of the best coaches in the league already. He doesn't have the team that's trying to win yet, but when they do, he's going to be known as one of the best coaches in the league.
I see that.
Yeah.
One thing I like about the Raptors is they got the two guys from Kansas, Grady Dick
Yes.
and Abachi playing
Yep.
together. So I think that's, really cool for them. And, it kind of shows they got chemistry on the court together. And, I'm sure that's kind of what's sparking both of those young guys,
Definitely.
career.
Yeah.
But, I mean, tonight will probably be a different story for the Kings. They're at home. So
And then also they're coming in on some rest too, so
Yeah.
I think they're going to come in hot.
Finally, we need to.
De'Aaron's going to get a 30-ball tonight.
Yeah, I would
I'm
love
saying
that.
it right now.
We got to lock up R.J. Barrett, though. He had 31 on his last game. Grady Dick finished with 22. So
Mhm.
those two guys, those four guys, actually, Chris Boucher and Ochai Agbaji, were just leading the way for them. No one else really had to do anything. All those guys with 20-plus. So we got to tighten up the defense tonight.
For sure. Yeah. Get back quicker because I mean that's what I saw. I saw the Raptors having like 3 men down the
Oh,
court.
yeah.
We had everybody in the
Raptors were trying to push the pace. But, I mean, like you
Exactly.
said, it's could have been just because they knew they were tired.
Exactly.
They got in late.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, one more game to go over. The Kings beating the Atlanta Hawks 123-115. The Hawks were shorthanded in this one. They didn't have Dyson Daniels or Bogdan Bogdanovic.
Bogey.
Dyson Daniels is one of my favorite players. He's one of my picks for most improved going into the year, and
that's what you said.
he's been looking very good with when they play next to Trae Young. That's when the Hawks win games, is when those two guys are healthy. I think he's the perfect two guard to fit alongside Trae Young. He plays great defense. He can hit a spot up three. He's getting more in his game off the dribble, so I like Dyson Daniels' game a lot.
Yeah, especially with Trae, because obviously, Trae's the number one option. But what Trae does well is, he finds his guys. He in college, he was averaging, double-double with assists and points. And obviously, he's up there, probably like 8 or 9 assists a game. But, I mean, Dyson also for the Hawks, good defense, good defensive player for them. And, I mean, I think they need that for sure.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say about Trae,
Yeah.
you said something like Giannis might not be in Milwaukee in the next couple of years. I see Trae being someone leaving the Hawks in a few years.
I think next year, before the next season starts, he'll be somewhere
I
else.
think Trae
San
is going to be
Antonio.
traded this year and next year.
San Antonio.
I was literally just saying San Antonio, pairing him up with Wemby.
Yeah.
That would be because Chris Paul and Wemby right now, watching that duo,
They look good.
it's insane.
Yeah.
Just the lobs up and down the court. They're just like, is Chris Paul going to do a quick like floater or just?
Chris Paul's about to become the all-time assist leader with Wemby on his team.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And they don't even guard Chris Paul really. They're going under the screens, letting him shoot. Imagine if he's playing with a guy like Trae Young, who's
he's
also
averaging like 12 points a game as an old man, and then he's averaging like 10 assists.
Yeah, so
it's pretty insane.
I know.
if you're the Spurs though, are you giving up Stephon Castle to get Trae Young?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
If the Spurs want to win,
Yeah,
like
I mean, I
Trae
feel
Young
like
is still in his prime. He's still like at that point.
he is.
Wemby is going to be the face of the league in a couple of years.
Yeah,
And then, I mean, they already have like some young developed players with them. And I think they already have a few draft picks in their stock. So
Yeah.
I think, yes, trade for Trae Young.
I feel like I think the Hawks wouldn't just give up, Trae that easy for Stephon Castle. But I mean, for them, if you're Atlanta, it's like if Trae's not going to be with us anymore, it's like who can we get and what are we, what do we want? Do we want draft picks or do we want players? Like, do we want a good team now or are we just going to rebuild without Trae?
You know what's interesting is that the San Antonio Spurs have a bunch of the Atlanta Hawks picks in the next couple years. I think they actually have the pick for this year. So Atlanta does not have their own first-round pick, and they are one of the worst teams in the league right now with all the injuries they have. When they're healthy, they look like a decent team. They started the year 2-0, and now they've really fallen off since then.
Yep.
But I think it would be an interesting trade if, the Spurs gave the Hawks their picks back. So the Spurs keep their own picks, but give the Hawks their picks back and trade. I would love to see the Spurs hold on to Stephon Castle, but the Hawks would probably be asking for it. So I'd like to see a guy like Devin Vassell or another young player the Spurs have get moved to Atlanta because I think Stephon Castle would fit perfectly next to Trae Young. He's like a Drew Holiday type player. Like he can guard the best guy. He's a good playmaker still. He can hit some shots. So that would be fun to see.
I see Harrison Barnes also possibly moving it again.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
because I see him being like one of those parts of the trade package where it's just like I need that and that, and then
just give me
Harrison Barnes. Like, yeah.
So back to this Atlanta game before we close out the first half of this show. Something I really have to mention that I noticed in this game is that Demar Derozan, he gets, a lot of calls, and when he doesn't get calls, he never complains. I haven't seen him complain to the refs one time this whole year, which, is not a common theme in the NBA today. All these players, especially De'Aaron Fox, every single game, I think De'Aaron's going a little over the top with the refs. They're not going to be perfect. Obviously, we know refs make bad calls here and there, but De'Aaron is complaining to the refs way too much on every single play, and it's distracting his game. He's not getting back on defense. But a guy like DeMar, who's a seasoned vet, who gets to the line more than anyone in the league, he's not complaining.
That's the key word, is seasoned vet.
Yeah.
Like, you've played in so many places for how many years has he been in the league? Not 16.
Almost.
16.
There.
So, he knows he's not going to get every call, especially if it's a close call. De'Aaron might feel a little, tap on his elbow. He's like, that's a foul. It's like, De'Aaron, you're going soft.
Yeah.
I think DeMar played in a time of the league where it was just like, he was getting smacked, and that was a foul.
Yeah.
And and you don't get that call.
Yeah.
That's the way the NBA should be.
Yeah.
It's a contact game.
I hope De'Aaron takes some lessons from DeMar and stops the complaining so much to the refs, because I know they're not going to get every call right. They're not going to get every call.
I mean, I saw you write a note. There were some heated voices in the Toronto game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, maybe DeMar was yelling at De'Aaron, or DeMontis was yelling at the team.
Yeah,
who knows?
True. Well, we'll be back in about 3 minutes. This is Beam City Sports, 96.5 FM. Tyler Texeira, Luke Mitchell, and Alec Dennett will be back in about 3 minutes.
Like, share, comment, subscribe, all of it.
We are back on 96.5 FM. Tyler Texeira, Luke Mitchell, and Alec Dennett on Beam City Sports. If you're listening on YouTube, please go subscribe. If you're listening on 96.5 FM, we appreciate it. Come back next Wednesday. We'll be back every week. Let's jump into the second half of this show. We got a lot of NBA news to talk about. Starting a new segment as well. This one is called I See You. This is going to be an underrated or young/rookie player that we've noticed over the last week that's really stood out to us, really been impressive. Doesn't have to have the craziest stats always. It can just be a guy that's contributing to winning in any way. So I'm curious to see where you guys go with it. I'll let you guys start. We'll start with Alec, actually. Right. Who's your number one for the new segment?
So I got a guy that honestly probably is not really known in the league. My ICU is Bilal Coulibaly.
Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
He was a rookie last year. He played 63 games, averaged about 27 minutes a game. He only had 8 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists last year, shooting 43 from the field and 34 from deep. This year, after 6 games, he's already averaging 17.7 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, with 2.5 assists a game. He's shooting 55 from the field and 44 from the three. He came from France with Wembanyama. He was a lottery pick for a reason. Obviously, the Wizards, they're just, not really a great team. But for him to just have that jump after the first year, in the NBA, he kind of got a taste of what it's like. So, after 6 games, obviously it's still early. But a team like the Wizards where, Jordan Poole is really your main, someone like, Bilal as your second option right now, because I think Kuzma's hurt.
Yeah, Kuzma's out.
And so for him to just have that jump, and, the real reason he was even a lottery in the first place was just because of his size and his ability to play defense. So for him to be, doing what he's doing right now, it shows the growth. And, that's part of what the league is about, is just growing as a player.
Yeah.
I love that pick. I'm pretty sure when he played in France with Wemby, I don't even think he was in their starting lineup out there. Yeah. He still was a top 10 draft pick in last year's draft.
He's 20 years old.
Yeah, he's 20 years old. He is definitely someone that has. I rewatched the Wizards versus Warriors game last night where we saw Jordan Poole and Draymond kind of going at it.
Yep.
I watched the whole game. Bilal Coulibaly really stood out to me in that one as well. He was also one of my guys that I had on my list. And he gives me a lot of hope for this Wizards young core.
Yeah.
And I think he is the standout guy right now. Before the game against the Warriors, he was averaging 19. So now after he had a weird game,
it
was
a slow game.
Yeah, so he's back down to 17, but still a huge jump for him. And I think he fits in with this Wizards young core perfectly. They got guys like Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, who looked great against the Warriors. He's going to be a very good player for them. And then Jordan Poole, one of my favorite players ever. So I love this Wizards young core. Alex Sarr, he looks like the worst rookie that the Wizards have right now.
It's just tough for him because he came from, the overtime league that they have. I mean, he does have the great potential, but yeah, it's just for him, it's really just about adjusting because it really is a whole different beast when you get to the league.
Yeah. I mean, I got to say, I have no idea about this kid, but I mean, looking at his stats and everything, the Wizards are a perfect place for him.
Yeah.
Like he could find, I mean, he's a starter?
He's a starter. He's like a 2 or a 3.
Behind Kuzma.
Yeah.
I mean, perfect place for him to come in from a French league and then the top league right here. He's going to develop perfectly. Who knows? Maybe, I mean, either he'll break out to be the leader of the Wizards or he'll just get traded. He'll be a big trade piece to go out. But
I'm very high. I'm very high on
his.
his game. Very high on his game. So who'd you go with for your ICU? For
I got to go with someone pretty similar. We just talked about him a little bit ago, but Grady Dick on the Raptors.
Nice.
Last season, his rookie year, he played 21 minutes a game, but he averaged 8 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. This year, he averages 32 minutes in 8 games. He jumped 21 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. Like, obviously, he's a point guard, so he's not going to be getting a bunch of rebounds. But he needs to get the assists up. But him, like, going up almost 12 points, like, in one season right there. Obviously, the minutes affect a lot, and Emmanuel quickly being out will kind of boost those numbers.
Yeah.
But I see him being a big face in Toronto.
I like that
kind of
pick.
going forward.
Yeah, I like that pick. Grady Dick last year, he was known as just a spot-up shooter, you know, and he was sitting in the corners a lot, not getting a lot of opportunity. Yeah. This year, he's impressed me so much with his game, driving to the rim, putting the ball on the floor. He's got long arms. He's got a good wingspan, so he's not the strongest, but he can get to the rim. He can hit those little floaters. He was
keeping De'Aaron busy against in Toronto.
And he's a lights-out shooter,
running around everywhere, and then there was some where, like, he just, like, popped up quick and just it was
Man, well,
it was a killer.
That's that adjustment period because, last year, first year, you're just getting used to the league. And, like you mentioned, he's kind of used to, or, he's known as, that spot-up shooter, just a shooter.
Yeah.
But, when he was at Kansas, he was doing it all.
Yeah.
Like, his main lethal point of his game is shooting. But, obviously you get to the league, it's a lot different. And so he just adjusted that first year. And now, Kansas fans, they're seeing the Grady Dick that they saw at Kansas, in Toronto. And they're like, oh, yeah, I kind of knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. No, he's going to develop well, I feel like. And this is just his second year.
Yeah.
So
I didn't see this coming, though. I didn't see Grady Dick taking this big of a jump this year. I couldn't have predicted it, especially with all the guys the Raptors have that we thought would take jumps. Even picking up a guy like Davion Mitchell. I thought he would get more minutes than Grady Dick, but Grady Dick's taken over this team in a way. I think him and Scotty Barnes are really the future of this team, and I'm excited to see it.
I'm just nervous to see what happens when Quickly comes back because, I
still think Grady Dick is a good size. He'll start at the 2. I think there's no way that he's out of the starting lineup for them.
That's true.
They need his shooting, and he's shown so much, more than, honestly, I thought he would do this year. I think Grady Dick is going to be in the running for most improved. So
I was actually going to ask you.
Yeah.
You mind if I change my most improved pick to Grady Dick?
Yeah.
I was going to change that from who did I say? Emmanuel Quickly?
I think you did. Yeah. Which, it was a good pick, and then he got hurt, so he hasn't really.
I feel like Grady Dick might be the most improved player of the year.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else on the real GD before we move on to mine?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Yep. Okay.
Who you got, Tyler?
So my pick for ICU for the first week is Jordan Hawkins from the New Orleans Pelicans out of UConn. Second year in the league. Last year he averaged 7 points a game in very limited minutes. Playing that backup point guard role, not playing a lot of minutes. He was the best player on that UConn team when they won it all, though, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I've always loved his game. He's a Ray Allen type of player. Like, he's a great catch and shoot guy, but he's more of a point guard than Ray Allen, I have to say. But that's someone he looked up to. That's why I mentioned Ray Allen, and that's why he went to UConn. And they have similar jumpers as well. So I think Jordan Hawkins is really stood out this year. The Pelicans don't have Zion Williamson, CJ McCollum, DeJounte Murray, Trey Murphy, and Herb Jones.
They're all out?
All out. They've all been out.
Whoa.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably 5 of their best six guys.
Yeah, that's like their whole starting lineup.
Ingram is the only one still playing. And you know what's funny is Jordan Hawkins actually got hurt 2 games ago.
Oh.
So now he's out as well.
Wow.
That also makes me want to drop my predictions from where the Pelicans are going to be.
Pelicans are really low in the conference now.
I'm gonna put them down because
Yeah.
I know I had them like top 5.
You did. You had them 4. I'm pretty sure.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna drop them down to like I don't know, like 9.
I love Jordan Hawkins'
Yeah.
game though. Like, you know, seeing him at UConn, just the type of threes he's pulling. You know, literally the ball leaves his hand. That's bucket.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was high on him last year, even as a rookie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just to see the jump that he has right now is, you know, is good to see, and especially on a team like the Pelicans, because last year they made the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And so obviously, you know, for him, he's not going to see, you know, that much playing time, especially on a team that has really great young core.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this year, with everyone being hurt too, if he can establish a real, you know, strong presence on the team, he's going to see the lineup for sure.
Yeah, I think the big jump for his game this year is just the confidence. I think last year, you know, he had all the tools that he's showing right now. We saw it in college. And, you know, last year he had a couple big games. I remember him having a 30-point game when the Pelicans had guys injured. But, you know, then the next game he'd go 1 for 12. Or you have it's just the confidence out there. And this year he looks more confident than ever. I think he wants the ball in his hands. And he's had some huge games already this year. And I think he's really placing his spot in that Pelicans rotation, even when they are healthy. And eventually, I think he'll end up taking over one of the starting guard positions once CJ moves on from the Pelicans down the line. But I think Jordan Hawkins is going to turn out to be a great player.
I see CJ leaving this year.
Yeah?
At some point.
Yeah.
They got so many people at that position, like, and CJ is just one of those players that, like, I mean, they could fill him in.
He hasn't been good this year either.
He hasn't been good.
He hasn't been good.
I know other teams that could use his shooting in the corner. So, like, I mean, I see him being gone at some point. Trading for a big or something like that.
Before we move on, can I shout out another guy real quick?
Of course.
Yeah.
So just want to give a shout out, local guy drafted this year, Jalen Wells.
Yeah.
He's averaging just shy of 10 points a game. For those who might not know his story, he went to Folsom High School, got scholarship to Sonoma State D2 school, ended up transferring to Washington State, got drafted this year. I mean, that guy, he's just a straight hooper. And honestly, the Memphis Grizzlies is probably the best landing spot for him because everyone's hurt on Memphis.
Exactly.
Like, everyone's hurt on Memphis. So he's starting and, you know, he's getting to play next to Ja.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's just crazy.
That's a big,
But yeah, he's been doing his thing and, you know, just a straight hooper. And always love to see a guy from SAC to make it to the league.
Yeah, it's crazy that we played against him in high school.
Yeah.
When he went to Folsom. We played against him in a tournament. But I'm very impressed with his game. I think he is not who I thought he was coming out of college. Was he a second-round pick?
Yeah, second-round
so
pick.
he was a late second-round pick. I didn't really expect much of him. I remember when you mentioned him that, you know, we played against this guy. He's from SAC. And I was like, he probably won't get any minutes. He'll probably be in the G League. But he has been killing for them. I remember the other day he had 15 points in the starting lineup for them.
Yep.
And something I noticed from his game is that he doesn't make mistakes. He, for a young guy especially, he plays like a seasoned vet. Like he makes the right pass. He doesn't force dumb shots. He makes great back cuts. You know, he plays good defense. And for him as like a guard wing defender for this Memphis team, I think he'll play a big part, especially this year with all the guys hurt.
That's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Sacramento. Sacramento love in the NBA is pretty awesome.
Of course.
Yeah. So shout out Jalen Wells, man. Keep killing in Memphis. Playing next to Ja, like you said, that's really dope to see.
100%.
Yeah. And he's not the tallest guy, but they're playing him at the 3 right now.
I think he's like 6'6", 6'7".
Yeah, so that's a good, decent size, you know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, his strong shoot is like shooting. You know, he's kind of known as a shooter. But yeah, I mean, just seeing him, you know, run on the fast break, you know, throwing lobs to Ja, getting lobs from. Yeah, you're like, wow, bro. Like he's got it right now.
Something else I noticed from his game is that after he makes a bucket, he's one of those guys that wants to full court press you.
Oh yeah.
Like he's like he has that Jose Alvarado, like Davion Mitchell, like defensive presence,
Just
like
in your face.
yeah,
all
like
the time.
he's gonna score. He's not celebrating. He's not celebrating one bit. He's going back and full court pressing whoever his man is, and that's something I love to see, especially from a rookie player, trying to get minutes in the NBA. And I think he's shown a lot already. I think there's no way they just pull him out of the rotation once they're fully healthy. And, they're looking for some wings as well. They're pretty slim at that small forward position, especially. They're pretty much starting Marcus Smart at the 3 when they're healthy. So
Yeah.
it's he'll get some minutes there for sure.
Talking about Sacramento people in the NBA, Jared McCain averaging around like 8 points and over in
That's his
in
boy right
Philly.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big fan. But, I mean, yeah, Sixers just need to play him more, honestly. I mean, it's tough, though, because the Sixers are the Sixers. You got Maxey, Embiid, Paul George now, Kelly Oubre. Like,
Maxey was going off the other day.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, last night, we'll talk about it right now. One of the best games of the week. The 76ers and the Suns played in Phoenix. That was Monday night when we had 15 games playing. This was definitely one of the best games of the night. It was Paul George's first game in the Sixers uniform.
Yep.
He did not look good.
No.
PG did not look good. He was taking a lot away from Tyrese Maxey's game, especially in the clutch.
Yeah.
He waved off Tyrese Maxey with the Sixers were down 1 with or down 2 with a couple seconds to go. PG's ISOing against someone on the Suns. Was it Grayson Allen?
I think it was Grayson Allen.
Yeah, Grayson Allen,
Yeah.
and then he takes a tough step back shot
At the top of the key.
It almost went in. It went in and out, but I don't like that shot. Tyrese Maxey had it cooking all game. He's been leading the team all
He had
year.
the hot hand. He had like 3 threes in that whole span right there.
Yeah. And he's had to do everything for the Sixers team already this year, so I think it's his team. PG even said it before he came here. He doesn't want to take anything away from Embiid's game when he plays or Tyrese Maxey's game. And he did take away from Maxey's game on Monday night.
Yeah. Tyrese was one person going into the season that I was a big buyer on.
Yeah.
I love Tyrese Maxey's game. And, I mean, PG, I feel like he's kind of at the end of his career right now, so he's got to find a different role than trying to score all the time.
Yeah. It's just my opinion, it's just a bad landing spot. I mean, he was perfectly fine on the Clippers. No Kawhi to start the season. He would have been perfect, but, he just wanted to move on, I guess.
I mean, he wants a ring. That's and the Clippers realistically don't have a shot at getting a ring. Kawhi's never healthy. The Sixers team, we still haven't seen them fully healthy, so it's hard to, make a statement like they're not going to be real contenders once the playoffs come around.
I think it'll be different when Embiid comes back. I think that'll help PG a lot.
Yeah.
They looked amazing against the Suns, and the Suns are a top team in the league right now.
And Paul George struggled, and they still looked way better than they have already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're moving the ball amazing. Their 3-point shooting was on point. And then, I mean, it's just like they have KD over there on the Suns giving everybody else a confidence boost, and he was drilling stuff all night.
KD finished with 35 and the game winner mid-range shot.
Yep.
So, KD, I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns look really good to start the year as well. I would not be surprised if they are one of the top teams out west and real contenders for a championship. KD
Nurkic is always a reliable center too. He's always fighting on the boards.
I don't love Nurkic's game, honestly.
I like him.
I mean, he plays hard. I think he does too much. He wants to be like Jokic too much, like with the passing. Like he makes too many dumb passes.
Yeah,
and he forces things too much.
Yeah, but I mean, he's confident.
He is.
He doesn't.
He can shoot the ball as well. He can stretch the floor a little bit. So that
he
helps.
doesn't look phased a lot out there.
He just does what he needs to do for that team. Honestly,
Yeah.
The Suns still won this game. They finished. KD obviously carried the team with 35. D Book struggled. He had 13 points.
Yep.
Went 3 of 18 from the field. 0 of 6 from 3. After winning Player of the Week last week, Devin Booker in the NBA. So great week for him, but a struggling night last night. The Suns still found a way to win. A guy like Bradley Beal has really played into his role a lot better this year than last year. Mike Budenholzer has those guys playing like a different team than they were last year. Bradley Beal only had 17, but it's everything else. It's his defense. It's his energy. Last year, I feel like Bradley Beal did not look like he wanted to be out there. And this year, it's a different story.
Yeah, he's also going through a little bit of an elbow thing right now. He's kind of hurting.
Yeah.
And immediately he went out hot in the first quarter. He hit a couple of threes. So
yeah,
I mean,
that always feels good.
He's always been a great. I mean, I loved him with John Wall over in Washington. He was one of my favorite players with him, and he's just kind of had not a roller coaster of a career, but it's just kind of go through those slumps, and I think he's going to be out of it right now.
Yeah. One more guy on this 76ers team we have to mention is Yabusele from the France national team. We saw him ball out in the Olympics, dunked on LeBron, got his contract with the 76ers.
I wanted him in Sacramento so bad.
All those 76ers guys are hurt, so he's getting big minutes, and he's playing very well, especially last game. I noticed him, hustling out there, hitting some threes, getting some backdoor cuts. So I love to see him, being successful.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to move on to another game. Our guy Milo, who's made our logo and everything, like our posters and all that.
Shout out Milo.
He would be very mad if I didn't mention this game because he texted me right after it happened. Like, I better put this on the show. The Celtics and the Pacers game last week. It was last Wednesday, so a week ago. It was the Celtics took their first L to the Indiana Pacers. This was an OT. It was a crazy comeback, though. The Celtics were down a bunch with only a couple minutes to go. They turned it on. They start full court press, and they hit every three. Jason Tatum hit a clutch sidestep three to send it into OT. And then Benedict Mathurin really took over in OT for the Pacers. I've loved Benedict Mathurin's game.
He's been doing really great for the Pacers.
Yeah, he had 30 off the bench this game. And Pascal Siakam hit a clutch three with 6 seconds left to win the game. So I mean, not a bad loss for the Celtics.
No.
You're gonna lose some games. So Milo was really mad about this game though, because the Celtics were undefeated before this, and it's their only loss on the year. So
maybe a little bit of a revenge game. They needed to make it back
from that conference finals.
Yeah. No, yeah, but Benedict Mathurin, he's been like one of my favorite players over there in Indiana.
Same.
I remember I was working in downtown one day, and the Pacers were in town.
Yeah.
And I'm just chilling outside, dead at work, and he's just walking around Delco. I'm like, what? Why is Benedict just like walking around by himself?
That's crazy.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah. All right. Well, another game of the week we have to mention is the Denver Nuggets playing against the Minnesota Timberwolves in Minnesota. The Wolves won this one 119-116. The real story of this game, though, was Christian Braun dunking on Rudy Gobert.
that looked pretty awesome.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
So he dunks on him, yells in his face. He doesn't do anything too crazy. He even said after the game he wasn't trying to taunt Rudy Gobert. And Rudy Gobert puts him in a chokehold.
Getting hyped.
Just puts him in a chokehold, pushes him off. Rudy's not going to really swing. He's soft.
No.
He's not going to do anything.
He's from France.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was a crazy game. The Nuggets were down 20 early, and then they fight back. They go on a 25-3 run in the fourth quarter to tie the game up, and or actually take a 10-point lead in the fourth. And then Anthony Edwards, he didn't take a shot in the fourth quarter until about 2 minutes left. Then he turned it on. He had a big three.
Yep.
He got a floater. He said, getting to the rim. And he's so clutch. Anthony Edwards right now is the clutch player of the year in my eyes.
For sure.
Maybe it's DeMar DeRozan.
DeMar's actually kind of averaging
that was
a
my
lot
pick.
in the fourth quarter.
That was my pick. Was DeMar DeRozan to win it. So yeah, this game was crazy. The end of this game though was disappointing for Denver. They've been disappointing all year. Jokic had a good look. He kicked it out to Christian Braun, who is not a 3-point shooter, and that's really what the Nuggets
That's what
need.
they're struggling with.
That's what they need in that 2-guard position. And I love Christian Brown's game, and he's just not a 3-point shooter. He drove right at Rudy Gobert, didn't dunk on him this time. He missed the contested layup. Then Jokic airballs a 3, and that was the game. So
yeah, for the Nuggets, you get rid of KCP, you don't bring anyone that can shoot the ball. It's like, what do you expect, really?
Yeah,
that was my guy for the Nuggets.
He had
I had
KCP,
him top 10 shooting guard in the league.
10 shooting guard.
People thought I was crazy, but
he got a lot of hate on the shorts for the KCP in the top 10.
And it's showing that they're missing out on that whole whole aspect.
Really great for them.
Yeah.
Both sides of the ball, and especially the shooting. Like that's what Denver needs right now.
Yeah, Denver's, like we said, struggled from 3 all year, and they're relying on guys who are not known as shooters. Like Aaron Gordon is taking a ton of threes now. Even in this game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, Aaron Gordon had 5. He was 5 for 7 from 3 with 31 points. That's like
you don't see that from him.
You're not getting that from Aaron Gordon every night. MPJ also had 26. He's been looking pretty good to start the year.
Yep.
He's probably their only solid shooter in that starting lineup, especially with Jamal Murray being really below average this year.
He's kind of been Jamal's kind of been day to day with injuries.
So
and
he's
stuff.
hurt.
He's been hurt sometimes.
He didn't play good in the Olympics either. So Jamal Murray, a little panic button on him. Let's hopefully he gets back to his normal self. He only had 6 points in this game.
Yeah.
And your guy Russ off the bench, he would 1 for 8.
Not good.
But the other
Except
night
he scared Rudy a little bit.
He did.
He was running up. He was like,
he did. Yeah, that was fun. But Westbrook started in the place of Jamal Murray a couple nights ago, and he had 22 in the starting lineup. So solid night for Russ. Hope
that's
to see
always
him.
going to happen for him. He's always going to go up and down, up and down.
Yeah, that's true. So one more game I think we should mention is the Cavs playing against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Cavs and the Thunder are the only undefeated teams in the NBA. Thunder haven't really played too many close games. The Cavs have played in a ton of close games.
Yeah.
And they are super clutch down the stretch. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland have been tearing up the league.
Best backcourt in the league right now.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell hit a game winner in this one. He lost the ball on his dribble, and then he stayed calm, and he got to that mid-range spot, pulled up right over the defender, and it didn't matter. He hit that shot for a 1-point lead, and there was only 0.3 left. So the Cavs are looking like a real contender right now.
Definitely.
I didn't expect this coming into the year.
I don't think it's going to last super long. I think they'll drop down a few places, but I see them just as one of those really well put together teams. It's just like they know where everybody's going to be at.
I mean, what were the Cavs seeded last year? Went to like the 4 or 5.
They were like in the mid.
I think they were 4 or 5. Yeah.
They'll probably end up being around there again this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, you just look at the start. They really hot start. Everyone's playing their role exceptionally well. Donovan Mitchell, really great start to the year.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm kind of, I want to see how long they can keep this win streak going.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they can extend it to double digits.
Yeah, I want to see 10.
Yeah,
I want to see 10.
The real story with the Cavs this year is their new head coach, Kenny Atkinson. He has his team playing way different than they did the year before. They're pushing the pace. They're trying to shoot a lot more threes. And it's getting guys off the bench really involved that, were non-factors for them last year, like Ty Jerome.
Oh, yeah.
Courtney Yang, Sam Merrill. All these guys are shooting the lights out for them off the bench, and it's provided a huge boost to this Cleveland Cavalier team. Also, a guy like Evan Mobley. Kenny Atkinson has really pushed Evan Mobley to, show his true potential. I think Evan Mobley has Giannis potential if he really taps into it. He can get the rebound and push on the break. We saw it the other night. He got a crazy block and then ran down the floor and dunked on someone with his left hand. So Evan Mobley, I think, is going to be one of the best players in the league in the next 5 years.
He'll definitely be like a really great center in the league.
And then, is he a center or a 4 though?
I think he's more of a 4 because Jared Allen's dominating.
Yeah,
I mean, he came into the draft as a center. So it's like they're playing 2 centers out there, but it's
Jared
working.
Allen's averaging. He's like 16 points and 12 rebounds a game.
He's playing at his all-star level again. I was pushing for the Cavs to trade Jared Allen before the year started, and I look like an idiot for saying that, actually. I have to say it. That's a bad take on my end because Evan Mobley and Jared Allen look like they can exist together.
Yeah.
And,
they're working really well.
Yeah. So props to the new head coach, Kenny Atkinson, over there.
It's almost like a better version of the Cat and Rudy duo that they tried to put together.
Yeah. In this game, we saw Damian Lillard hit 10 threes, 41 points, 9 assists. Giannis also had a big game. He had 34, 16, and 9 assists. And the Bucks lose. They just get no production from anyone else. Brook Lopez has looked horrible to start the year. Gary Trent Jr. can't hit a shot.
I got it. Brooks.
Middleton's hurt.
Brooks done.
Yeah.
Brooks going to retire
Bobby
soon.
Portis, they just want to get Bobby Portis the ball in the post, and he's going to take these stupid turnaround post fades every single time. Bobby Portis does not pass the ball once you give it to him in the post, and I don't like this Milwaukee Bucks team at all.
Nope. You said it. You said it at the beginning.
Yeah.
No, it's over. It's over in Milwaukee. You guys are done.
Yeah. I think I have to mention one more game, though. My Golden State Warriors, my second favorite team, have looked great to start the year.
Yeah.
6-1 to start the year. They beat the Rockets in OT the other night. Our guy Buddy Buckets,
he's looking good.
Buddy Buckets looks like the clear sixth man of the year right now.
Don't say our guy.
My guy.
He is
Buddy
not
Buckets.
my guy.
Also, a guy like Lindy Waters the third has looked great for them to start the year. Someone I didn't expect to get any minutes for the Warriors, has been killing off the bench. But they blew a 31-point lead in this one. So
wow,
to send it into OT, they won it in OT. But
that's looking like the theme of the league right now. Everybody's building leads and blowing it.
No lead safe for real.
Spurs blew a 26-point lead against the Clippers the other night.
Yeah.
The Clippers won it by 10, I think.
Yeah. Well, anything else before we close out this show? It's great to have you on for the first
thanks
time.
for joining us, Alan.
Hope to make this a weekly occurrence.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, we'd love that.
Add some more thoughts.
Yeah, well, Beam City Sports, 96.5. Tyler Texeira, Luke Mitchell, Alec Dennett. We'll be back next week.
Thanks for listening. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Tell your mom, tell your sister, tell your brothers, tell your dads, tell your dogs.
Cheers.
Love you.